Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Real Life Podcast. I'm Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino. Yeah, I know my name, Katie, with the fabulous Dr. Katie Eastman. I don't have editing software with me here in South Carolina, so that's going out the door like that. Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino is my name. I love it. Anyway, hi, Katie.
Hello. I
How
can
are you?
so relate to that. I just have had the weirdest sleep these days. Woke up with an earthquake. First time in my life. The bed was shaking, but it was pretty funny because I yelled at my husband. I said, "John, it's an earthquake. It's a real earthquake." And he's like, "Nah, it's the cats."
Cats. Yeah. Well, we had one of those in Maine a little bit ago, and it sounded like a freight train was coming and it rolled underneath us. And we both looked at each other like, "That's an earthquake." And sure enough, that was an earthquake. And did it sound really loud or was it just bumpy?
It didn't last long, so I don't know. I had a fan going, and so I didn't really notice what it sounded like, but it was something. But more importantly, it was the shaking that was just bizarre. The whole house was shaking.
Yeah, yeah. So we had to leave
on
Maine.
A hill, so yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad everybody's okay. And
Yes.
When I saw it, I woke up because I'm on the East Coast. Katie's on the West Coast. I look, I'm like, oh man, they had an earthquake. And I always make sure there's no tsunami warning in case I need to, call you and drop you out of bed, like get out of there, whatever. You always say you're high enough up though. So
yeah, sure. We are high enough, but if we're in our office down below in the marina, we're toast. But we know that when there's an earthquake to go up to a house.
Yeah. We left Maine about 6 weeks ago to do winter someplace else. So we're actually in South Carolina in Myrtle Beach, as you know, and the audience now knows. But we're in this fabulous condo that we rent every year, and this side's the golf course and this side's the beach. So life's kind of sweet right now, and so you can it's one of those moments where you can kind of tune out the world a little bit and try to anyway or whatever. And then like over the weekend, a fire erupted. So we actually have a wildfire blazing in South Carolina of all places, which is pretty trippy. It's like 2 miles that way from us. And like all weekend long, the planes and the helicopters were going over the golf course with water. So things that what do we say, Katie? No one's immune anymore, maybe?
Oh no, shit happens everywhere.
Yeah.
And you just have to figure out how do you find your beach walk in the midst of it. And we went, there's a beautiful place in Washington. It reminds me of this combination of the state of Washington and New England, because it's got this beautiful field and it's way on top of a cliff, and you can see the mountains in the distance that are all covered. They're white capped, and it's just the most beautiful natural setting. And we went the other day. We just went to feel what you talked about, just get away from the world, just kind of escape into nature, which is such a beautiful thing to do. So I feel really blessed to be able to go do that. I really do.
Yeah, I feel super blessed. We've been taking lots of beach walks and things like that. And even like we came down here COVID year even, and it was an escape where we could be alone and be on the beach or be wherever and things like that. So we've been coming down here for quite a while. And but it's nice when there's turmoil or whatever, and you can take your moments. I was really happy to see you out on the beach.
It was.
I was like, there she goes. She's getting some peace. It's important right now, isn't it?
It is, and I think you don't have to have a beach, or you can actually do it. And I do it every morning before anybody gets up. I have my little chair that I have by the window, and I have my little coffee thing, and I sit and I listen to these vibrations that soothe me every morning. And that's my quiet, peaceful time. You can do that anywhere. You don't have to be in a beautiful setting. You can be in a corner of your apartment, but it's peaceful. You're creating peace. And I think that's just really important for everyone to do, no matter what's going on in your life.
Yeah. And I think some of us have those skills from COVID, because COVID so rocked us to the very core that we were like, how do I calm down? Like Peter and I, we would drive to Home Depot in South Portland, Maine, and we would sit there by the pond, and I would just bring my camera and like watch the blackbirds,
Yeah.
or the little beaver that was in the pond, and just
Yep.
do things that were peaceful. Or we'd get in the car and drive somewhere, or there's all
Yep.
sorts of things. But I love you forgot to mention that usually in the morning you have a cat on your lap, because cats
Oh yeah,
bring
that's
us
true.
amazing peace too. Animals
true.
are a great source of peace and tranquility when
Yes.
you don't when you're vibrating on all scores and
Right.
sentences.
When there's an overload.
Yeah.
And it's really, but don't trip over them. You might end up almost dying if you trip over them. So be careful.
So,
but,
yeah. So we were gonna talk today. You know, I'm glad we're both in great places, and I keep hearing I'm jealous that you're at the beach, Elizabeth, or whatever. And I'm like, you know, we trade off. Like we were just talking to Peter and I were just talking to somebody earlier. They do their thing in April. I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous of you right now. It's February. It's so cold up here in New England. I'm like, yeah, but you go to Florida for like the whole month of April, and it's not that great in Maine then. So you'll get your moment. So I think it's important to know that we all trade off these moments of whatever it is, peace, unhappiness, happiness, joy, you know, whatever it is, we are trading off moments all around, and not everybody's going to like line up to have the same thing happening at exactly the same time.
No, yeah, absolutely. And we all have different I mean, I'm 64 years old. I didn't have my view of the water until I'm 64 years old.
Yeah.
So it took a long time. Have had that in my heart's desire for years and years and years. And I still have a pool in my heart's desire, but that hasn't happened yet. So that I may be 80 by then, but still we all have our own needs, and but you have to figure out how to find that solace, that rejuvenation in your own backyard, in your own way. I mean, I remember being in Boston, and man, there was just nothing around in terms of nature that I could find, but I created it by a little corner of the apartment with plants. And when I was in seminary, that's what I did to kind of give myself that peaceful space. So you can do it anywhere. You don't have to have the beach. But some of us are blessed that we've got some place to walk.
So brings us to the topic of the day, right? What's our topic for the day?
So it kind of brings it out that we're all in different places. We all have different times when we're more uncomfortable than other people might be. And how do we deal with that? Like, my best example of that is when I oftentimes will work with people who have a diagnosis of cancer, and they'll describe to me going into the grocery store and people that they thought were their friends, not close friends, but acquaintances enough to call them friends, will walk the other direction to avoid them because they don't know what to say. And how hurtful that is for them, because they don't want you to deny that you're in a good space. If you just got a promotion and you're excited, you're going on vacation, and they have cancer, they're not asking you to stop being where you're at. They just want you to be kind. And that's what they all say to me. They all say to me, don't not talk to me about positive things because I have cancer. I want to hear your positive things. Right. Don't avoid me. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, have you ever had that situation where you're in a crappy place and somebody's joyful, and or the opposite, where you don't know what to say, so you just kind of like, well, maybe if I avoid them, or I don't think you would ever avoid somebody now, but I mean, when you were younger.
Yeah,
I don't know.
probably. Or if I'm miserable and somebody else is happy, it's all over the place. I think a spot for that is social media, where you scroll, just take one look through your feed and you'll see everybody posting different things. And sometimes it's here's where I am on vacation, or here's my new car, or here's my new house, and you might shrink back and feel small because you might not have those things, or you might feel jealous of those things, or whatever it is. So, but we were talking about how earlier when we were talking about the show, we were talking about, everybody has a different reality and everybody has a different perspective. And again, not everybody may be joyous in this moment, and not everybody may be sad in this moment or these moments or whatever moments they have. So how do you think we should manage that as people? I think is the conversation for today, don't you think? Like between us?
Yeah. I think what we're talking about is show up.
Yeah.
Show up, be there for people, and regardless of where you're at, because the number one thing anybody who I've ever worked with who's in pain for whatever reason, they say hurts them the most is when people don't show up, when they avoid them, when they're so uncomfortable not knowing what to say that they just don't say anything. That hurts them the most. So I think showing up means so many different things.
Well, yeah, and I worked. Oh, yeah, being kind. Yeah, I worked with a lady who was at work for a long time, really miserable, and almost got to the point where she would exclude herself from everyone because she had so much going on in the background of her life that was making her sad, that every time she went to the break room and people were laughing or people were joyful or people were this or that, she felt like she didn't fit in, and she couldn't fake joy in the moment. So like she really was sort of schlepping to work every day, baseline, very sad. And she had a real inability, whatever, to bring herself up out of the sadness to experience really even any joy or any happiness, even in herself, in others, and so forth. And she felt like she would shrink back because she felt like it made her really hard to be around.
Yeah, that is such a common thing with people grieving.
Yeah.
Because we have this really big misunderstanding about grief that it goes away.
Goes away.
It
yeah.
doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. And depending on the situation, it likely will go on for years, a few years, depending on the loss. Look at Dolly Parton. She just lost her husband of 16 years. You think she's going to stop grieving anytime soon? No, she's going to grieve for the rest of her life, off and on. And so what we don't understand about that is we've got to learn how to be comfortable with discomfort.
Yeah.
Other people's discomfort. We need to show up, even if it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
just be clear that you don't know what to say, but you're here.
It's like my mom on Valentine's Day. My parents were married forever. This would have been their 50th anniversary. And you wanted to call both of them up. Unfortunately, my dad passed away in 2018, and you want to be like, happy 50th anniversary. So, you could just feel my mom's just intense pain on Valentine's Day. She wanted to be happy because there's grandkids everywhere and little Valentines and so much love and this and that. And then there's this other division of her that is just deeply just in sorrow and grief and everything. And she's she said she was trying to almost fake it through.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I have so many clients that will come to me and say they fake it all the time just so other people will feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
But then there's also the flip. People who don't come up to them because they're really happy and they don't know how to share their joy. Like, for example, when I went through infertility, when someone was pregnant, they didn't want to tell me.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to make me feel bad. Well, of course it was hard, but I was happy for them. And what made me more sad is that they didn't tell me.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for people to recognize when someone's uncomfortable because they're going through a hard time, it doesn't mean we shut down our joy.
Yeah. I've had the opposite of that happen. I've been pregnant and felt like I've had to tiptoe around 4 people who had fertility issues, and you could feel almost the rage, like, oh, I'm not going to your baby shower. It's like, oh my goodness, kind of thing. And so the other side of that was like so much rage geared at me. It's like, I'm sorry, and I would have comments at me like, oh, like this is, all people have to do is breathe on you, just mean spirited things. You've got so many kids, and how many more are you going to have? And I don't even have one. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I've had everything said to me on that score as a mother of 4 sons over the years. It's wild.
That is horrible.
And other things. So yeah, there's awareness on both sides, and you just have to hug the person and just be like, I'm so sorry. It is difficult for you,
Yeah.
Yeah. And who's to say this is a breeze for me either, though, as a human being, died in childbirth, and our son almost died in childbirth. It's not like a easy thing. And I've had a miscarriage before too, and things like that. So yeah, that's a tough one, because I think it's so important to stop, pause, and be aware of other people and put yourself in their shoes and see both sides of everything. Because you can really say some really cruel things to people and not even be aware of it.
Right. And, people go through hard stuff. And then we also have moments of great joy. Yeah. And just because someone's going through a hard time doesn't mean they don't want to hear your joy. When I go, here's a real tip for anyone out there who has struggled with this, but when I go to a baby shower, I tell the person ahead of time that I never was able to have a child through give birth. Yeah. So whenever in the baby shower, which inevitably comes up, they start talking about the drive to the hospital and how horrible birth is and how painful it is, I always warn the hostess ahead of time, host or hostess, that I'm going to leave at that point and I'm just going to go to take a walk, go get a cup of coffee, go to the bathroom. And that if they happen to be around for a hug, I'll take it. Yeah. And that has worked beautifully for me, because I've been able to show up for baby showers, but take care of myself and not fake it, be joyful for the person who's having the baby, and also honor my own grief. So there's a way to do both. Yeah. It's authentic.
What a cool moment that would be, almost even for you to share your adoption story, though.
Well, I do, but
but not the same.
Oh, it's
or is that like doesn't fit in to the, I don't think it'd be real. I'd welcome that. If I was sitting there, I'd be like, you know what? All of us are different. Cause my mom is a human being who's had kids.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've done that. Yes.
And it's fabulous. So yeah, but yeah, I think, women now, it feels like things have become less and less stigma and more talked about. So I bet now in a setting, people would be like, whatever, come on in and tell us your adoption story. And, cause it's not all perfect. And a lot of things end in cesarean, which isn't easy. And a lot of things, the birth process is all over the place with people. So it's not that easy. Right. We were talking about earlier, I loved the story that you had about your friend at breakfast. And I was wondering if you would share this, because, we're talking about groups and settings and difficult chats and easy chats and joy and sadness and happiness, and kind of all over the place with with all the things that we feel when we're in a group setting. But one of the things we can feel is very excluded.
Absolutely. I was in a situation where we were gathering as a group to go out and just have breakfast, and someone in the group was going through a really hard time. She had just gotten some very bad news about her job. Yeah. And the group, several people in the group were so hell-bent on nothing. We are not going to talk about anything uncomfortable. And so I watched this woman silence herself and be silenced because nobody else was having a hard time. And that's not okay to me, is that she felt she had to be silent about what was going on with her. And I really wish people would understand that just because someone else is uncomfortable, you got to learn how to be with their discomfort. Right. You just do. Or you got to be upfront about, I'm so sorry, but I can't handle this right now. It's too much for me. There's nothing wrong with that. but shutting them down and shutting them up, not okay. And that's what I watched happen.
It sounds like the rules of your group got shifted in a the group rules got changed and nobody was aware. Like it might have been a group you would have never joined.
Yes.
if you knew the rules.
Yeah. It was like this is a fun group, no room for anything other than fun. And that is not the way that group used to be.
Do you think it was that moment and just that once? Or do you think it's the way the group will be from now on because there's just so many difficult topics going around right now that nobody knows what's safe and what's going to set people off or whatever. So here's the question though, then what's the definition of happy topics then that we're allowed? Is there a list? Like you can talk about puppy dogs and dogs. And
I mean, rainbows and puppies, but, and I feel like what's really good about it is that someone articulated, regardless of what's going on in the world, I refuse to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. I'm living my life. I'm done with it. And everyone else was like, wow, okay. So does that mean we all have to do that? And so everybody, that rule changed. Yeah. And so now we get to choose. And what's good about it is the person was really clear. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. And that's fine as long as you don't have somebody else who's hurting and you're shutting her down before she even has a chance to say something's wrong.
Do you think the people were saying, look, this isn't the right time or appropriate moment to share this sadness and things like that? Or it had always been a group where you talked about anything and then all of a sudden somebody appointed themselves head of the group and changed the rules to rainbows and puppy dogs and kitty cats and whatever else because they had enough of whatever.
Yep, that's what happened.
That's an interesting group. I'll be interested in the next show to hear if you went back for more or.
No, I think that in this time period in the world, I belong with a different group.
Probably.
And I went back to this person who was silenced and I reached out several times. I've reached out and said, how you doing? What's happening? Because I'm perfectly comfortable with being engaged in that conversation. And that's okay that not everybody is. Absolutely fine.
Well, the other thing
I think if you're going to change the rules, tell people ahead of time. Yeah.
And the other thing too is not everybody's equipped with your skill set either. You kind of got an eagle eye view on that whole group, that whole table, of everything, all the dynamics.
Oh yeah.
And I think people don't have that. And they just know, look, this hurts my heart right now. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to be with my friends and talk about rainbows and puppy dogs today. And maybe that could have been said better. Like, every other meeting is happy. I don't know how to solve I'm trying to solve it now because I know it's a group that you like. And it's like, okay, how do you do that? I was in a group once where it's like, I can't remember. It was like 2 flower petals and a thorn or something. I can't remember.
Yes. Oh yeah. We used to do that when I was teaching college.
Yes. We go around the room and you share two flower petals and a thorn. It's like, maybe you guys need that. Two flower petals and the thorn, or 2 rose petals and a thorn.
I don't know, but I think that the point of it is don't shut someone down.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fine to have your own level of comfort, but recognize that other people are at a different place.
Well, especially if it's a group that they've relied on for those moments forever and ever too, and then you just feel silenced or whatever. That's tough. So it's interesting, but I imagine that's probably indicative of a lot of things happening right now. That kind of reminds me of a holiday table. It still does. No matter it does. It's kind of like, okay, here's the Thanksgiving rules. Everybody just eats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I used to do this with families that would come to me for counseling around before the holidays because they had so many conflicts going on. And what they would do is they would create a peace preamble before. So they'd have rules of topics that were off limits, how you're going to speak to each other, how we're going to communicate. And they would really have nice Thanksgivings as a result, because the rules were set up ahead of time. So I'm kind of encouraging people, figure out your level of comfort. Do you want to talk about stuff right now? If you don't, that's fine, but be clear about that.
Yeah.
And don't ever avoid someone going through a hard time because you don't know what to say. Don't ever avoid someone in the grocery store or in the pharmacy, or if you're having happy news and they're going through cancer treatment, don't avoid them. Just say, I don't know what to say, or I just wanted to say hi. Give, whatever.
How are you is a good question.
Just showing up.
How are you doing is a fair question. How are you?
Right.
He'll tell you.
Because I'll tell you what, as somebody who went through infertility and watched a lot of people have babies, man, if anybody ever did that to me, I'd run after them.
Well, I have dinner envy. I have tremendous dinner envy with life-threatening food allergies.
Yeah, of course you do.
When I was in my early 20s, working and traveling and my job and everything, I never had a food allergy ever, and I could do anything, fit in anywhere. Now I went through a really big phase 1,000 years ago where I was really jealous of everybody eating. Like, you can't eat that, I can't, kind of thing. But it's kind of going away because we cook and do things. But I still crave, like, okay, where can I go out for dinner? Where is it? It's usually like steak, potato, green beans is real safe. So that points to something expensive.
Right.
Heads you to the nearest expensive steakhouse. And then I don't have dinner envy anymore. But I do have a lot of dinner and buffet envy and things like that. And it makes you not fit in. It makes you leery to show up in a crowd where everybody can eat anything they want and you can't. And there's and do you really want to hang out in the crowd of everybody that can't eat anything and you can't either? I don't know. That's kind of
Right.
So it's funk. It's a really funky dynamic, and it's just another example of how people feel isolated, how they feel left out, how they feel unheard, how they feel. But as you tell people what's going on, people do really nice things. We had a cookout in our neighborhood, and a couple of us have food allergies, and people made food for us, which is a historically very dangerous thing. And most people are like, I'm not eating no matter what you made for me. Thank you very much. But they were like, here's the bag, even you can see what's in it. Here's everything that's in this and the ingredients and the bag. You're okay. And my daughter has the same allergies as you, and watch her eat it, kind of thing. And people do very nice things for you once they know. Generally,
yes, most people want
afraid of you
to be
it's
kind.
Kind of cringy. Yeah, most people want to be kind.
Most people want to be kind, and it's not kind to avoid someone because you don't know what to say. That's not kind. That's really hurtful. And they see you, by the way. They see you. And that's
a good point. Yeah, they do see you walk the other way or whatever.
They see you, and trust me, if anybody ever did that to me, I would run after them.
I found you.
And I'd be like, why are you avoiding me? Don't avoid me.
In the show, I want to go back to something that we've been saying. We only have a couple minutes left. We've been calling everything that we do, and this is we call it a Katieism. She has termed the phrase "no fluff zone," which I really love for our books. And we have a new book coming out, the Peace Guidebook, which is coming out in 2026. No, you can't pre-order it yet. We're not done writing it. We're still working on it, but no fluff zone is a thing we say, and it's part of our podcast, part of our books, and part of our everything. And Katie, explain what that is, because it's so needed.
Okay. So how many of you have read The Velveteen Rabbit?
Yes.
I mean, of course, we've all heard of the Velveteen Rabbit. The Velveteen Rabbit is all about authenticity and showing up with your rough spots and being real and letting people help you and helping others. That's what we're talking about, a no fluff zone. Don't pretend you're fine when you're not. Don't pretend everything's okay and hide your suffering or your struggle. And also don't pretend that you're not joyful when you've got great news.
Yeah.
Be real. Show up like the Velveteen Rabbit and be real with your real hard things and your real joyful things and everything in between. Be real. And that's why we call this real life, because we really want people to, I mean, life is so much more enriching when you're authentic and real, and not when you hide or pretend or stuff or, minimize or any of that crap. It's just show up like the Velveteen Rabbit and be real. And then just think of the warmth and warm fuzzies you're going to get.
Well, yeah, it's super important. And I think it's important to hold up our books too at this moment too, because we both have books that support that. If you don't know what that means, to be your authentic self and find your heart and find your truths and be comfortable showing up real and authentically as you. You've got a book, you have Hold Up Uplifting. Uplifting is go ahead, you talk about Uplifting.
Well, why I wrote Uplifting is because it's stories of loss that people have transformed into growth. And it's a perfect example of all these really inspiring stories of people that went through really hard stuff, but they learned how to manage it, but not just manage it, to grow from it and make it something positive and purposeful.
Yeah.
And I think that that's our whole point is, don't run away from your difficult things. Let them be stepping stones.
Yeah. And and then I've got the Change Guidebook, which Hold Uplifting up again, because we always have similarities in our books. We love yellow, and we've got a lot of color similarities and things like that. And it's pretty fun and not intentional at all, but it just tends to be. But so this is the Change Guidebook: How to Align Your Heart, Truths, and Energy to Find Success in All Areas of Your Life. And in here are 20 contributors. There's amazing stories of people who have gone through changes in their life and how they made those changes. Some good, some bad, some is all over the place with it. But I think the heart of the book is really is thinking with your heart, showing up authentically, and really living your truths and so forth, and helping people get there. The end of the book is this amazing chapter about impact and your impact on the world. And the book is closed out by former Senator Olympia J. Snow and her story of being orphaned at a young age. So she's right here in the book, the very end of the book. And joined in that chapter, she's with Haley Stark, who had a spinal stroke in high school, one of Quade's friends. But my own kids contributed to the book, and Quade's in here, and Brian Esposito's in here, and there's just a ton of people in here that show stories of how they changed their lives through some of the most difficult moments too. Not, sometimes they make intentional changes, like, okay, I want to lose 100 pounds or whatever. And other times it was like, I just joined the club I did not ever intend on joining. How am I going to navigate this? What am I going to do? And how am I going to get through this and stuff? And I think one of the things that hold your book up again. Both of these books, I think if you go back, and I'm going to be choppy in this message, but if you go back and turn our clocks back all the way back to 2008 when we met, you taught me a lot about change and growth and grief and loss and being your best and all of these things. And the book I'm not holding up is our book called Percolate, Let Your Best Self Filter Through, which kind of led us in these directions of creating all of these books and doing the things that we're doing now and stuff. And it's just been a really cool process to see us change and grow and do the things that we're doing and finding right here. And I think anytime you shift from here to here, it's a really good moment all the time.
And really, that's what No Fluff is all about. Is we have both been through hard stuff.
Yeah.
We've worked with people who've gone through hard stuff. We show up.
Yeah.
We show up for them. We show up for ourselves. We show up like the Velveteen Rabbit, with authenticity and with an intention for growth. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to help people understand, is that you'll have a much better, more peaceful, meaningful life if you show up.
Yeah. I'm going to do, if you don't mind, I'm going to take 5 more minutes of our time and talk. I do want to close the show out with emotions. Any kind of emotion, because when we show up emotionally to something, that can make people shut down, run, right? You know, don't want to be around you or whatever. And it can be any kind of emotion, whether it's a anger emotion or a rage emotion or a happy emotion or whatever it is. Do you want to talk a little bit about emotions and the roles that they play in a group setting?
Sure.
Leadership. I kind of, hang on one second. I kind of want to go at this from, and I'll chime into like a leadership perspective. When you're in a group, you know, what's the tone?
Right. Read the room.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Read the room.
Read the room.
Yeah, read the room. Everybody in a group, the leader's role is to ensure that everyone is heard. Now, I'm a consensus leader, so that's, you know, that's kind of the leadership. I'm a compassionate care leader. Yeah. So I teach leadership from that perspective. And reading the room means leave space for anyone's experience.
Yeah.
So your own emotions need to be managed enough that allows for space for someone else to feel what they're feeling. Yeah. So it's got to be okay for someone to feel whatever they're feeling. You don't have to take it on. You don't have to fix it, but you can show up for it with kindness and presence.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to do. Show up with kindness and presence. You don't have to give them answers. You definitely shouldn't give them platitudes, but just be. And that's good leadership.
Yeah. Sometimes
what you need.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to have tools to lobby the ball back into their court too, because people can be boundary jumpers with emotions a lot of the times too. So I think it's really important because sometimes people feel like they're in that spot where they got to give advice and you don't have to. And you can ask really clever questions that just bounce it back over. Like, what do you think about that? How are you feeling? You know, just all day long, go back and forth with questions.
I was on a call the other day and we were all talking about when someone is really sick, what not to say.
Yeah.
Don't say, I'm so sorry, because that just makes them feel, okay? Yeah. It's like, I'm here. What do you need? Can I get you anything? Can I do anything for you? What do you need? Do you want me to just sit here? Do you want me to read you a book? Do you want me to talk? Do you want me to be silent? Do you want me to whatever? And read the room. And
we had
gotta read the room.
Yeah, I gotta share. I'm gonna talk about my dad's ICU room for a minute.
Yeah,
it just all came up just a minute ago as you were talking. Talk about reading the room. Like, we're in there trying to keep this man alive, right? We're in coats because he's got on ice and just all sorts of crap happening to keep my dad alive, right? And our baseline is like, we're fighting.
Yeah.
We would have people when we're fighting room, you know, we're keeping fighting, we're fighting. Yeah. It's all going on, you know, kind of thing. The pictures everywhere, all this stuff. We would get people who would come in and be like, it's time to give up now. You know, and you're like, get the hell away from us, you know, kind of thing. We're fighting, go away, you know, kind of thing. But and we would get people, even relatives, come in, and you can't like control what's going to come out of somebody's mouth. But my mom I went through the hospital roof when one family member came in, touched my dad's hand and said, it's okay, you can let go now. My mom just about went crazy, you know. So you can't control what people are going to say. I have a smile on my face because I'm picturing my mom just like, you know, kind of thing. And so we weren't aware that people would do that. Mm-hmm. We thought everybody was fighting, you know, kind of thing, not like give up mode. And so she put a block on like, the only certain people are coming in here because I know your vibe around him, and everybody else will keep you updated. And the group got real small. Even one of the doctors was like, we were like putting our arms around one of the doctors at one point because he was like, there's nothing more I can do. I'm like, sure there is. Let's go, you know, kind of thing. Because we were like delusionally positive about things, and which worked, by the way, because he survived way longer than any human, you know, probably should have or could have in those circumstances. It was crazy, miracles happening.
Yeah, we used to call that
Leaving the
flunking
room.
hospice.
What is it?
We used to call that flunking hospice.
Yes, thank God, right?
Yep. And good hospice workers, as I've been trained as a hospice social worker, you know better. You read the room. You read the room, which is what, in my father's case, he was in a palliative care unit in a hospital. Our family was gathered around saying goodbye. We were all crying. We were all really sad. We were feeling what we were feeling. And this perky nurse came flying in the door. And she goes, "So, Mr. Eastman, how are you today?"
Opposite.
My
Yeah.
father, well, I've never been more proud of my father. He goes, "Jesus Christ, I'm dying. How the hell do you think I feel?" You know,
My dad had one of those too.
Have it. Yeah. So you just don't know. Both sides of this are equally important and valuable. Read the room.
Yeah, that's
Read
super important. And apply that toward whatever you've got.
Everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Everything. Show up like the Velveteen Rabbit. Be more comfortable with other people's discomfort.
Yeah. And I think
show up.
I think the other thing too is I don't know how to articulate this exactly, but we know from being in a hospital setting for that long, it was the feeling of the doctors and nurses sometimes was palpable with their sorrow and they're used to people not walking out of ICU clearly. And so when you're around them and you're hopeful, they try and tell you to not be. In some case, kind of not exactly like that, but they try and give you the real life scenarios of what usually happens. And we found people were trying to brace us for the inevitable or this or that. And it was very frustrating to us because we wanted to be positive around him and stuff like that. And so we had a real wide variety of people around him. And it just was really interesting. A really interesting lesson in process of what the usual process is versus the miracle process.
And the fact is, as a healthcare worker, they have to do that.
Oh yeah, they do.
And so it's how they deliver that. Because my training was, you always hold hope for cure while preparing for death.
Yeah.
You do both. You do both. You offer both. So in everything, it's yes and. It's no matter what crappy thing is happening in someone's life, you hold hope for something positive to be learned from it. And that's what we're all about. And the way you do it is you lift yourself up and you let other people lift you up and you lift up others and you don't run away from people's pain.
Yeah. What's the hardest part of this for you? We were talking about that being a question we were going to ask each other. When you don't feel like you fit in with a group of people, what do you do and what is the hardest part for you? And then we'll end at about.
I think this showed up when I used to do hospice for children. And that is a definite downer when you're at a cocktail party.
Yeah.
And when I once had a thing where I was at a fundraiser and I was sitting next to this woman and she asked me what I did for a living. And I told her, well, I run a children's hospice program. And she literally turned away from me and stopped speaking to me and didn't speak to me for the rest of the night.
I wonder why.
And it was really, really, really painful. And the irony is the fundraiser was for my program, but she just couldn't talk to me.
Well, there. Yeah.
And I felt like such a pariah because I cared for dying kids. And it's like, excuse me, people, somebody's got to do it. And why not me?
And why not the most compassionate person on the planet? There you go. Yeah.
Well, but that's turning away from me because you're uncomfortable for some reason was hurtful and painful. If she had some story behind it and just had said, wow, that must be really hard, I'm really uncomfortable with that, I would have been fine. But she just rejected me. And it was really, really hard. And so I would just say to everyone out there, don't just walk away from someone.
Yeah.
Show up. Tell them why.
Yeah.
Don't run away from him in the grocery store. Just don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And I think the hardest part for me in that when I feel like I don't fit in or I don't belong or something like that is probably more the heart hurt.
Yeah.
And the trying to understand sometimes I used to do this a lot where you go, well, what's wrong with me?
Yes.
Yeah. I think people go right here and they go, well, why don't you like me? What did I do to you ever? Kind of thing. And I just actually had that happen to me yesterday or the day before. And it was like, no matter what I do, you're not going to like me, are you? I can just feel it.
Yeah.
And I'm old enough now where I'm like, so be it then. There's
that's right.
people.
Yeah.
But I used to be like, oh, you don't like me? Well, let me make you like me. Let me make you like me, kind of thing. And I think that can be a really frustrating thing for people when you aren't liked by everyone.
Right. Or when people walk away from you for some reason.
Yeah. You aren't everybody's cup of tea.
Nope. And now I can respect why.
Yeah.
Obviously why you wouldn't want to talk about dying children for sure. However, do it in a respectful, compassionate way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think anytime you aren't vibing with somebody, just do it in a kind, but just some kindness so the other person isn't, damaged permanently would be nice.
Right. And people are
have habits and emotions and things like that. And it's like, well, you don't have to hurt people. Okay. You don't want to hang around.
And you don't have to, nobody has to stop being what they're being. Just show up with compassion is what we're saying. That's the no fluff comment for the day.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, good conversation.
Always.
Yeah, always. And we'll send people to besteveryou.com. I will not type up a banner right now that flashes below us and rolls. I'll just let people go to besteveryou.com and
go walk on the beach.
Yeah, we're gonna go walk on the beach. Probably it's supposed to rain here tomorrow, so we'll see. But I think it's a moment to just find those moments of your what brings you peace and that just kind of like if you need a hug, take the moment out and find something that gives you that hug, whether you actually have to do this or go somewhere or whatever it is. Or if you need conversations and you're not comfortable in groups, maybe make them one-on-one. I know you're available. I'm available. We can listen.
Yeah, reach out. Reach out to us.
Maybe your conversations need to be more one-on-one right now. If you've got something that you're thinking or feeling or whatever, and you don't feel like comfortable in a group, that would be what I would suggest, I think.
Right.
Yeah. So anything else before we go?
No, just if you haven't read The Velveteen Rabbit, go read it.
Yeah. I love The Velveteen Rabbit. That's a good one. I'll Guess How Much I Love You, another bunny book. Have you read that one? Oh, I love that one.
Yes.
Guess How Much I Love You. Yeah, it's such a good book. So anyway, all right. Bye, Dr. Katie. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening, watching. Everyone. All right, take care. I got to find how to turn this off. Okay, bye.